One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. All right, Joe and Jonathan, I want to start by asking you guys to think back to, late 2013, mid to late 2013, when you guys both arrived at Clemson. Joe, obviously you from Mississippi State, and Jonathan, your background, of course, was with the Tampa Bay Rays and Major League Baseball before that. And I want to ask you guys to think about and recount the early conversations about your all social media strategy and digital media strategy. And if you identify then how you wanted to get to where you've gotten to today.
Well, Matt, I don't know that we truly sat down and put together a roadmap from there to here. But what we did the summer of 13, when Dan Radakovich and Tim Match contacted me and we started talking about communications in general, really a focus on speaking directly to our fans and recruits and shareholders of Clemson Athletics, and really shifting the focus away from being facilitators for media to tell the stories of our student athletes and staff, and doing it ourselves, and knowing that the technology was available and being able to utilize it to do that for ourselves. And I think that the first conversations, and then we brought Jonathan on board in the fall. That was the impetus of what we wanted to do from a philosophy, was to speak directly to our fans and use engaging content and creative students, graduate assistants, and our staff here to be able to reach directly and make that emotional connection with our fan. And I think that really has been the overarching goal and theme since we arrived here in 13.
My perspective on day one is drastically different than it is now, and obviously that's probably the case for anybody who goes through a new job. But I was very, very fortunate to have Joe and to have Tim Match, who understood so thoroughly the college athletics landscape, and then also the Clemson landscape in terms of knowing where we wanted to go, but the harder part of how to get there and how to navigate the different obstacles and challenges that come with that. So there was a ton that I didn't know about college athletics, and recruiting being the biggest thing. I knew what the average fan knew, but didn't understand how big of a driver that was. And so I think I came into it more from a traditional communications PR perspective, in terms of being around news organizations all the time and thinking that we were going to kind of be our own news organization. And in some ways we are, but that's really not the focus or the perspective we're trying to bring, because honestly, we're not built that way. And there are limitations of actually being the organization in terms of, being a news organization. So the way we move more towards like an agency model and servicing our teams and coaches and student athletes that way was something that I had to learn. The first 6 months was a lot of listening and learning. And from there, I'd say from about the 9-month or 12-month point on, then we started to pick up some steam. But there was a lot that, change is hard. And in the industry, obviously, there was a huge opportunity in terms of having your own voice, like Joe said, and creating your own content and directly communicating with the target audiences that you have. But that doesn't mean that it's always easy to get to that point. So it's a testament to Joe and Tim and Dan, that their leadership, that they helped, kind of pave the way, and then our really talented, really hardworking staff and students who are doing the work every day, doing the quality work. It doesn't happen without that leadership first to set us on the right path.
Okay, so within the greater, sports and entertainment industries, or maybe even beyond those niches, are there specific accounts, brands that you guys as a group have identified as doing certain things right within social and digital, whether, again, it be platform-based or or simply idea based? Is there any sort of kind of shared passion of other brands that you guys commonly look to?
Well, I think just like anybody else, we are sports fans. We are entertainment fans, and I think I'll speak for Jonathan and our entire team here that we all look to best practices or organizations that we find engaging or see content that we think is excellent and wonder how they did it or how it could apply to us. So I'll let him speak to any specific organizations, but I think as a whole, we're all constantly devouring information and entertainment and using that to kind of shape our content.
There's a lot of, to Joe's point about us being sports fans, that's why we work in sports, we're fortunate there's a lot of great teams who are doing great things on social and digital marketing, that there's plenty of ideas that we can draw inspiration from just within sports every single day. There's so many talented people out there, and certainly it's the easiest to translate because it's the same industry. But what we try to look at is not so much, there's a lot of different ways that you can use digital communications, social media effectively. The way we really focus on it is the entertainment side and trying to create content that is engaging and trying to get as much time of people's day as we can where they're thinking about Clemson. And so on the engagement side, like the actual functionality of different social platforms, I don't know that we do a ton of research there, but in terms of how people create content, how, like Netflix shows or how Jerry Seinfeld with Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee or some of these short form like Vine influencers, different people who are creating content for these platforms who every day are trying to master the art of how, packaging it and making it engaging. There's a lot of inspiration we draw in terms of our content strategy as opposed to our distribution strategy. So there's any number of people within our industry and outside our industry that give us inspiration, but then we got to be careful not to get lost in trying to keep up with the Joneses or following what others are doing, because there's a lot at Clemson that's really unique and really special, and our work should reflect that. We shouldn't necessarily try to emulate what others are doing, but we should do what's best for Clemson, and lots of times that comes from just us brainstorming and whiteboarding and throwing ideas out rather than trying to emulate what somebody else has done. Because nobody's going to know what's best for Clemson than the people who are living here every day, the student athletes, getting feedback from them, sometimes even recruits, but hearing from them about what's important to them and what they think is special. Ultimately, most of our more successful campaigns and ideas have just come from inspiration from an individual here or just from within a discussion here.
I'll give Jonathan and our creative team a lot of credit in being good at what they're good at, rather than trying to be everywhere and omnipresent and try to be on every platform, to just focus on what we want to be good at and do it really well. And they have done a very good job of focusing on those things.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.